The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran, a journey of poetic wisdom. What if one book could answer every question you've ever had about love, life, pain, joy, and death in pure poetic truth? This is not just a book. This is a prophecy for the soul. There are books that entertain us. Some educate us. A few transform us. But once in a while a book comes along that simply speaks to us, as if it had been waiting for the exact moment we were ready to hear it. That book is The Prophet by Kahlil Gibran. Published in 1923, this slim volume of poetic prose has traveled across cultures, religions, and languages, touching hearts for over a century. But what makes The Prophet so powerful is not just its lyrical beauty. It is the voice within it, the voice of Al-Mustafa, the Prophet, who speaks to the deepest parts of who we are and why we are here. The story begins in the city of Orphalese. Al-Mustafa, a wise man who has lived there for 12 years, is preparing to leave. His ship has finally arrived to take him back to the island of his birth. As word spreads that the prophet is departing, the people of Orphalese gather around him one by one, asking him to share his wisdom before he goes. And so what follows is not a narrative, but a series of reflections, each one a response to a heartfelt question. And in every answer, we find the poetry of truth. When asked about love, Al-Mustafa doesn't describe it as romance or fantasy. He doesn't wrap it in comfort or security. He speaks of love as a force of transformation, wild, divine, and dangerous. When love beckons to you, follow him, he says, though his ways are hard and steep. Love, in Gibran's world, is not something we control. It is something that takes hold of us, tests us, breaks us open, and in doing so, grows us. It is not there to please us. It is there to make us whole. Even as he is for your growth, so is he for your pruning. True love demands surrender. It demands courage. It is the fire that burns away all that is false, leaving only what is real. And in perhaps one of his most famous lines, Gibran writes, "Think not you can direct the course of love, for love, if it finds you worthy, directs your course." Then comes the question of marriage. And again, Al-Mustafa surprises us. He doesn't speak of two people becoming one. He speaks of two people standing side by side, each whole, each rooted in their own being, yet joined in harmony. "Let there be spaces in your togetherness," he says, "and let the winds of the heavens dance between you." The secret to lasting union, he suggests, is not possession, but freedom. The image he offers is unforgettable. Stand together, yet not too near together, for the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. In a world where relationships are often tangled in dependency and fear, Gibran reminds us that true love allows space. It honors individuality. It celebrates union without losing the self. When a mother asks about children, Al-Mustafa's answer is both beautiful and humbling. "Your children are not your children," he says. "They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself." This one sentence contains a lifetime of wisdom. We often think of our children as extensions of ourselves, as beings we must mold, protect, and direct. But Gibran tells us that children come through us, not from us. They belong not to us, but to the future. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. Our task is not to shape them in our image, but to support them in becoming themselves. As the people continue to ask their questions, Al-Mustafa speaks of work, not as duty or obligation, but as sacred expression. Work is love made visible, he declares. And he warns that working without love is like building a house without passion, soulless, empty, false. When we work with love, even the simplest task becomes divine. We are not merely earning a living, we are giving life to our gifts, serving the world, and honoring the breath within us. One of the most moving passages in The Prophet is his reflection on joy and sorrow. Here, Gibran touches a truth so raw, so universal, that it silences the mind and opens the heart. Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, he says. And the selfsame well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. We often believe that happiness and pain are separate things, but Gibran tells us they are intertwined, two sides of the same soul. The deeper sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. In other words, pain is not the enemy. It is the preparation for joy. And only those who have truly suffered can truly feel joy. Life, in its fullness, contains both. When asked about giving, Al-Mustafa speaks not of charity, but of selflessness. You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. True giving, he says, is not about what you give, but how you give. Do you give with joy, with love, with freedom? Then your gift is real. There is no virtue in giving with guilt, resentment, or pride. And there are those who have little and give it all. These are the believers in life and the bounty of life, and their coffer is never empty. Gibran reminds us that giving should not be measured by quantity, but by the spirit in which it is offered. And then comes the question of freedom. What is it to be truly free? Is it to be unburdened by rules or responsibility? Not quite. You shall be free indeed when your days are not without a care, nor your nights without a want and a grief, Al-Mustafa explains. But rather when these things girdle your life, and yet you rise above them naked and unbound. Freedom is not about escaping the world. It is about transcending it. It is about living with full presence, full awareness, yet being untouched by the chains of fear, ego, or desire. Real freedom is internal. It is a choice, a mindset, a spiritual stance. The people ask about time, and again Al-Mustafa guides them gently. You would measure time, the measureless and the immeasurable, he says. We live by clocks and calendars, dividing our lives into hours and years, but time, in truth, is eternal. The present moment is all there ever is. Yesterday is but today's memory, and tomorrow is today's dream. Gibran invites us to live fully, now, not in the past, not in the future, but here, in the sacred now. Then someone asks about good and evil. In a world obsessed with dividing right from wrong, good from bad, Al-Mustafa offers a deeper view. You are good when you strive to give of yourself, he says. Yet you are not evil when you seek gain for yourself. He sees humanity not as split between saints and sinners, but as one soul at different levels of awareness. Even those who stumble and fall are moving forward, he seems to say. Evil is not a permanent state, it is ignorance, a momentary forgetfulness of who we truly are. And when we remember, we return to the good that was always inside us. Self-knowledge, perhaps the most intimate of topics, is addressed with clarity and grace. Say not, "I have found the truth," but rather, "I have found a truth." Gibran gently warns us against arrogance. The journey of knowing oneself is never complete. The self is like an ocean, vast and mysterious. The more you know, the more you realize how little you truly understand. And yet, within you, all answers already live. The soul walks upon all paths. The soul unfolds itself like a lotus of countless petals. Finally, as the sun begins to set and his ship approaches, someone asks the most profound question of all, about death. Al-Mustafa does not fear it. He embraces it. You would know the secret of death, but how shall you find it unless you seek it in the heart of life? To understand death, he says, we must first understand life. Death is not the opposite of life, it is part of it, a continuation, a return. Life and death are one, even as the river and the sea are one. Just as the day fades into night and night into dawn, so too does the soul move from body to spirit. Death is not the end, it is the beginning of another chapter. As his ship sets sail, Al-Mustafa offers his final words, not as farewell, but as a blessing. A little while, a moment of rest upon the wind, and another woman shall bear me. He is gone, but his presence remains. His words echo in the hearts of those who heard him, and in our hearts too. Because the prophet is not just a collection of poetic thoughts, it is a mirror, a guide, a soft light for those walking in the dark. Every page feels like it was written for you, no matter who you are or what you believe. Gibran's genius lies in his simplicity. He speaks to the soul in the language of the soul. His words are gentle, but they pierce. They do not demand belief. They invite reflection, and in that reflection, something awakens. So if you are searching for clarity, for comfort, for truth, read the prophet, or simply sit with its words. Let them breathe inside you. Let them ask the questions you've been afraid to ask. Let them whisper answers you already knew, but had forgotten. In a world that rushes, the prophet asks us to slow down. In a world that shouts, it invites us to listen. And in a world that often feels hollow, it reminds us of what is sacred. Kahlil Gibran may have written this book a century ago, but his message is eternal, because it is not his message. It is the message of the heart, spoken through a timeless voice. If you found something true in this story, something beautiful, share it. Let the words of Al-Mustafa ripple across the hearts of others, and may you too carry this wisdom gently, with love, with joy, and with peace. Until next time, may your soul be your prophet.